Good evenings, friends. There was plural evenings there. I am Big Ben, and this is Big Ben's movie show, the Halloween edition. Tonight on the show, I'm not going to talk like that the whole show. Tonight on the show, we're going to be reviewing Suburbicon with Matt Damon. We're going to be talking about my favorite movies that are scary on Netflix. And then we're also going to be playing 5 questions with my guest host for this week, Mr. Jason Allen. Jason, welcome back to the show.
That's good to be back as always.
Nice.
I'm one show away from not getting a jacket, but I brought my own, so I'm good.
Brought his own jacket. That's a killer jacket.
Thank you.
So this is like I think this is the second time we've done a Halloween show, but it's the first time we've dressed up for a Halloween show. I'm hoping this becomes a tradition. This is kind of fun. So yeah, this is cool. Kind of makes me wish I'd made Susan dress up 2 years ago. So I'm sure she could have. She has a lot of zombie stuff. All right, so going to get right into the show. Well, actually, before we do that, we should say, so what are you?
I am Onomatopoeia Man.
Onomatopoeia Man.
Easy for me to say.
Lots of bam, pow, zap.
Yeah, a lot of bombs.
Yeah.
A lot of bombs, just like my jokes.
Like like Batman 66 made a jacket.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, Cesar Romero would be proud.
And I am some kind of like dark king from Game of Thrones or something.
Yeah.
Or something.
What's your dragon's name, by the way?
Dragon's name is Jim.
Jim.
Hello, Jim. That was Jim. All right. Moving on. Let's go ahead and get started with headlines.
That was totally Jim.
That was totally Jim.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's why you have a dragon, so you can blame farts on the dragon. All right. Moving on with headlines. Still deep into fallout from the Harvey Weinstein scandal that has just been rocking Hollywood since the first week of October when this all came out. The MPAA, after last week, Kathleen Kennedy came forward, the person who runs Lucasfilm, and said that she thought it would be a good idea if there was some kind of governing body or a commission to regulate this kind of behavior, which I think is a great idea. A lot of this stuff is not going to be stuff that the cops can get involved with because it's not technically illegal. But that doesn't mean that it's not wrong. And so there needs to be some kind of a governing body for that. And you can't really let the companies police themselves because, as we know, the Weinstein Company actually had written into Harvey Weinstein's contract a certain amount of dollars set aside to pay his legal fees for when he would get sued for sexual harassment.
That's not a red flag at all.
How can you think that's okay? Gosh.
How is that not a red flag to begin with?
Serious.
Is my question.
It's like saying, oh, and this is the money we set aside in the contract for the fixer who has to bury the bodies of the people you kill.
Yeah.
That's nonsense. That's ridiculous. So last week, Kathleen Kennedy says it's a good idea to have a governing body to fix this. This week, the MPAA steps forward. Motion Picture Association of America. They're creating a code of conduct for all of their members. No word yet on whether or not this code of conduct will actually be able to be enforced, but here's the deal. Everybody in Hollywood works with the MPAA. That's how movies get made, is through the Motion Picture Association of America. So, technically, if they wanted to, they could shut you down. So that if people start coming forward, if actresses start showing up and saying, he grabbed my ass, he did this, he did that, they can shut you down. So, yeah, I'm hoping this is a step in the right direction. This is kind of the thing that I was hoping for last week when we talked about this, which, by the way, sorry about last week's show. You guys didn't get to see it. It was a hell of a show with Tim Hayes. If we ever find the footage, we'll get it to you. But something happened with the cameras. We only ended up getting 5 minutes of the show. So there was no show. But it was a heck of a show. Really good stuff. Moving on, headline number 2. This one is interesting for everybody. Regal Cinemas has an idea to charge more money for good movies and less money for bad movies.
Well, I mean, that begs the question right away. What is a good movie and what is a bad movie? It seems like a very subjective thing, doesn't it?
And it absolutely is, and that's why they're actually working with a company that I've known. It's been on my radar for a little bit. A company called Atom Tickets. Atom Tickets, like the splitting of the atom, is a ticket servicing site that will sell you tickets on their website or through the app. And what they are doing is they're tracking people's interest in movies. And that's what they're going to go by. So they're going to go by whether or not people are interested in a movie, and the tickets that people are most interested in basically following the demand. So if there's a high demand for the movie, they're going to charge more for the ticket, whereas if there's less of a demand, they're not going to charge as much for the ticket. Now, the cool thing about this, the one neat idea, I mean, it kind of sucks for me because they're probably going to penalize a lot of the movies that I watch. Like, I'm guessing Spider-Man Homecoming 2 is going to cost a lot of money. But on the plus side, a lot of the independent movies that I also like to watch, like something like this last summer's The Big Sick with Kumail Nanjiani, which was a great movie, really funny, but kind of an indie and not on a lot of people's radar, I would have gotten a discount on that ticket, but then had to pay extra next week when I go see Thor.
Right.
So I can see the positives and the negatives of the whole thing. I think in the end I think the people that are going to be hurt the most are going to be the casual moviegoer, the general public.
Well, for sure. And, there's a lot of people out there, the economy's at such where it's very unaffordable to go see a film. And they're going to be stuck, if you will, depending on your interest, they're going to be stuck seeing the bad movies.
Well, the movies that people have no interest in.
Correct.
And I think that's what the hopeful benefit of this is that we're going to see less people going to see, I don't know, Transformers 5, and more people may be going to see some more indie films that have a little more substance, but that maybe they're just not super interested in. So that would be the hope. That's the hope of something like that happening.
It's hard to say. I mean, tastes are very different all across the board. And it's a neat little gamble, if nothing else.
It's a neat idea. I think it's a very interesting idea. I'd like to see where this goes. Just because, there's so many different things out there in terms of going to the movies and ticket prices. You yourself and I myself have both signed up for Movie Pass.
Yes.
Which is a great service. It's $10 a month, and you can see every single movie at the theater once, and only in 2D. But it's a huge money saver in terms of seeing movies because, like for me, I'm seeing at least a movie a week.
I've been to 4 this week.
Wow.
4 this week. I would not be able to do that unless I was making, $150,000 a year if I did not have this card. And
you had that number off the top of your head.
I did. And,
He's done the math, folks.
Well, and the beautiful part of it, too, is if I do go to see a bad movie, like yesterday I went and saw Snowman.
Yeah.
And you know what? I'm okay with it because I didn't pay full ticket price. If I had been, I probably would have been up there slashing the screen.
Yeah. So that's actually the movie that you guys missed me reviewing last week. I was with Jason. It was an interesting idea of a movie, but just so many errors.
So many.
And they were choices. They were willful errors. It wasn't that they had fallen short. It was that they had made bad choices and then committed to them fully. So yeah, like the whole use of Val Kilmer and just lots of bad ideas. I like Val Kilmer. I hope he gets better and he can actually talk in his next movie.
That would be great.
But if you're going to dub him, maybe get somebody that sounds like him, and also make sure the dubbing lines up.
Yeah.
So that he doesn't look like he's in some kind of kung fu movie from the 70s while everybody else is in a regular movie. Yeah, that was rough. But this week we didn't see Snowman. Well, you did. But this week we saw Suburbicon.
Yes.
So Suburbicon is the new movie from Matt Damon, directed by George Clooney, written by the Coen brothers. So the pedigree on this movie is pretty high. You're talking about an Oscar-winning actor. You're talking about an Oscar-winning director. You're talking about Oscar-nominated writers, at least. So there's a lot of buzz about this one going in. But here's the thing. There's not a lot of buzz of people going to see it. It's actually sounding like it's going to tank in the box office, which I'm bummed by.
Well, full disclosure, I went and saw it this afternoon. It was the first showing on a Friday. There were 3 people in the theater, myself included.
I saw it last night, and there was about 7 of us.
Yeah.
It was not a big crowd. The thing that basically is actually hurting this movie more than anything, in addition to the reviews, and we're going to talk about some of those in a second, is actually the connection between Matt Damon and George Clooney to Harvey Weinstein. That's how big the shadow of this thing is that it's being cast on movies that Harvey had nothing to do with, but they involve people who had long careers from Harvey Weinstein. Matt Damon is famous because of Harvey Weinstein.
Right.
Good Will Hunting originally came out through Miramax, and then so it's and a lot of George Clooney's movies that have been very successful. A lot of the Coen brothers movies. Of course, we've talked already about Quentin Tarantino, Kevin Smith. A lot of people who have their careers to blame for Harvey Weinstein, and all of them now are kind of they're either under attack and apologizing as fast as they can. They're doing the smart thing like Kevin Smith and saying, "I'm ashamed." And here's the smart thing. Kevin Smith did the smartest thing you can do in this situation. He's donating the proceeds for the movies that he made through Harvey Weinstein. So the residuals that he gets for the rest of his life, all of that money that he's going to get for the rest of his life is going to be donated to a group called Women in Film. That is actually a group that is specifically trying to help women get into film, make more films, and be successful in the filmmaking world. That's the kind of move I think we're hoping to see from the Afflecks, the Damons, and the Clooneys of the world, is something along those lines. I don't necessarily know if they're going to do it because, and this is the thing, we also have to remember, the amount of money that Kevin Smith is donating is very different from the amount of money that Ben Affleck, Matt Damon, or George Clooney would be donating.
Certainly.
So,
but you know, the gesture is just momentous.
It's
and
still
huge.
powerful.
It's very powerful, and you know, big ups to Kevin Smith for doing that.
Yeah, that's just a huge. I mean, he also does a couple of things. He runs a foundation called the the Wayne Foundation, based on his love of Batman. That's an organization that is built to stop sex trafficking around the world. So, I mean, that's an area where you wouldn't expect to find him being amazing and kicking ass, and yet there he is. So, yeah, it's Kevin Smith's doing great stuff. And let's go ahead and talk about the actual movie of the movie, though, and not look at the politics and everything else. I got to say, like, a lot of people are hating this movie. I didn't hate it, but I also didn't love it. I fairly liked it. I mean, it's still a very much a Coen Brothers movie.
It is to an extent. I do have to say that as far as like you know, the period piece that it is.
Yes.
They got a lot of the aesthetics right.
Yeah.
The Stepford-esque look of the.
So this is a movie about a society in the 50s where it's a small kind of like tract town where all the houses go up immediately and all the families move in, and it's a clean, nice neighborhood.
Yes,
and we
with a diverse population from places like New York, Ohio, and Mississippi.
Yeah, this is all in the opening credits. We get all of this, and basically we have two stories going on within this movie. On one story, we have Matt Damon's family and what's going on with them, and the other side story that almost, it's competing for time throughout the whole movie, and at the end of the movie, I'm not 100% sure why it was there. It's a powerful story, but it doesn't necessarily. The two stories didn't meld well together, and it's the story of a black family moving into the town, and the town just resulting in upheaval as every single white person in town, it seems, is really, really angry about this, with the exception of Matt Damon's family.
Yeah, they were a little busy.
Yeah, they were busy dealing with their stuff. And their son makes friends with the boy across or through the yard. But other than that, the two families are dealing with horribly terrible things going on kind of at the same time. So on one side, you have the black family dealing with all of the, which becomes violent and terrible racism from everybody in the community. And then on the other side, you have Matt Damon's family, which is dealing with kind of this like campy and absurd, zany murder plot, which that dark humor about murder and things like that is a very befitting of a Coen Brothers movie. Apparently, they actually wrote this in the 80s. They wrote this in 1986, and they just never got a chance to make it at the time. Mm-hmm. And now they've made it, and I feel like they probably should have taken a couple more.
It's almost like they should have, both situations should have been their own movie.
Yes.
Honestly, I mean, it was almost to a point of distraction. It really was.
Yeah.
I
liked both of those movies, but they both felt incomplete, and I wish I'd seen the rest of them.
They really did, and they didn't really seem too connected, other than the two boys.
Yeah.
The two boys, bonding over baseball and snakes.
Yeah.
Other than that, there was just really
they have nothing to do with each other.
No other interactions whatsoever.
Yeah.
And it could have benefited from a split.
Yeah,
I thought.
Absolutely. Each movie should have been its own movie, or should have had clear lines, or maybe just a better connection between the two. If there had been a stronger connection, maybe, or a better way to, like a better metaphor, like if the two sides are related, to show that a little bit. I heard some people in the reviews saying that, and the two sides are linked by it, and I was like, wow, you found a link? I didn't find a link. And a lot of other people didn't too. I'm going to go ahead and, this is a review from the Boston Globe. It says, watching this movie is an experience in irritation, as if the audience were a cat and the filmmakers kept petting the cat in the wrong direction. Which is a weird thing to say, but at the same time, I think it's kind of accurate. I got to say, the parts of Matt Damon's family and the murder zany romp thing, that's what I came in expecting, and I enjoyed those parts. Except for the parts where it got, so it's a dark comedy, but it gets really dark at times.
Yeah.
Especially towards the end. And I was like, okay, this isn't funny anymore. If something funny could happen, that would be great.
Yeah.
And it just didn't.
No.
But then on the other side of it, you have the town dealing with the racism. And again, but on that side, it probably wasn't dark enough. Like, it was bad, but it was still in the land of like this is like a very special episode of television or something like that, where we're dealing with racism, but nobody actually gets hurt. I mean, there was some property damage, but there wasn't.
Yeah, no one, no physical attacks or anything
No physical
like that.
attacks, no
effigies.
No effigies. I was waiting for a burning cross the whole movie.
Absolutely.
And it didn't happen. Yeah, I mean, none of the family actually gets hurt. I mean, the only people that got beat up were the stupid white people that kept trying to throw Confederate flags on their houses.
Right.
And blew up their car.
Yeah, and also Matt Damon's family.
And Matt Damon's family. All of Matt Damon's family.
All of them.
So, yeah, that was, It's an interesting movie, but ultimately I think it tries to succeed at two different movies and ends up failing at both.
Correct.
So, yeah. Out of 10, what are you going to give this one?
4.
Okay.
Yeah. 4.
Yeah.
It was just, it was it was interesting throughout, and I was never bored or anything like that, but it was just too much to follow as far as like one full story.
Yeah. I was probably going to give it a 5. All right, so that's the end of the movie review. Moving on now to the Binge Worthy section. This is where we talk about the stuff that's coming out on Netflix. Normally we do it so that I pick a movie and a show, and my host picks a movie and a show. We're not going to do that this week because there's a giant big show, and we're going to talk about it in just a second. But first thing we're going to talk about, Hateful Eight. Hateful Eight, the last Quentin Tarantino movie, just came to Netflix last week. It's a classic film, really great work, amazing performances by Samuel L. Jackson and Kurt Russell, and a couple other people that I'm blanking on. I think somebody named Walton Scoggins is really great in it. So yeah, go ahead and check that movie out. Now, we've gotten that out of the way, and now we can talk about the thing that came out today on Netflix, that as soon as you are done watching this show, keep watching the show, don't turn it off, but as soon as you're done watching the show, stop what you're doing and go to Netflix and watch Stranger Things Season 2. That's what I'm going to do.
I'm pretty sure they've already done that.
Yeah, you've probably been binging it all day. It's 8 o'clock by now, so you should be done.
Yeah, you should at least be taking a break or something.
It's a 9-hour show. You've had the show now for over 12 hours. You should be done.
Yeah.
So, but I'm super jazzed for this. I haven't watched any of it yet. I've been at work all day, but I'm so excited. I don't know how I'm gonna get anything. The kitchen's not getting clean this weekend. I'm saying that. Dishes are gonna have to wait till Monday because I have to watch all of season 2 of Stranger Things. Did you see the first season?
I did see the first season.
That's wonderful show. I'm so interested in it. It looks like we're going to get to see, from what I've seen of clips and stuff, we get to see more of Eleven's backstory. So we get to see where she came from. Eleven grows hair. What? And of course, more Eggo waffles. So, I'm really looking forward to season 2 of Stranger Things and seeing where it goes, and seeing if we can build on this whole Stranger Things thing, because it's so much fun. And I love that they're releasing it right as Halloween is about to hit. So yeah.
I mean, it was perfect. I was sitting through the previews today at the movies, and they had a trailer for that. I'm like, I forgot that's right.
Yeah.
Ooh.
No, I forgot about that one, and then I just saw another trailer today for another show that I'm geeking out about. But it's going to be on Hulu, and I don't have Hulu, so I'm going to have to. I mean, Hulu's now up in their game. I might have to get Hulu. But Runaways, Marvel's new show, Runaways, it's about a bunch of kids and their parents are supervillains.
Oh, nice.
And they find out and they're really pissed. And they're like, what the hell? And their parents are like, what? No, we're evil. It's cool. And the kids are like, no, screw you. And they go and become a team of heroes, but they are the children of supervillains.
Oh, great.
It was a really great comic book, and I'm really excited they're making it a show. And the trailer looks awesome. They included the dinosaur in it. I didn't think they were going to. There's a velociraptor in the comic book. Yeah, one of the kids has a pet velociraptor.
Well, it's Teen Rebellion at its best.
Yes. I wish I could have rebelled against my parents with a velociraptor. So, yeah. All right, so that's the binge worthy for this week. A binge orgy would just be terrible. Don't do that. I mean, one or the other, but not both. So, all right. Now it is time to play 5 questions with Jason Allen. Here we go. Number 1, this sounds amazing. Dan Aykroyd says he has plans to make a Ghostbusters theme park. The question to you is that awesome or super awesome?
Super awesome does not even begin to cover how awesome this is. We're
Right?
talking infinite awesome.
Yeah.
Infinite awesome. The only thing that would make it unawesome is, like, I can't fly there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I would be all
Or if it
over
was
that.
only based on the most current version of Ghostbusters.
Correct. But, you know, if it was here in California, LA or something, I would probably move into the theme park and never leave.
That would be, yeah. Here's what I'm thinking it might be, though, is I think they might make, it might be like an addendum to an existing theme park. So they might go to like Universal Studios or maybe, I think Great America, I think, is owned by Paramount. So it's, so it'd be go to one of those places and it would be connected to those. Although technically I think Ghostbusters is a Sony property. So maybe Sony just needs to open up their own theme park.
Right here in town.
Yes, in Chico, California, population of 80,000.
Destination,
no
baby.
problem.
Yeah, we got this.
It'll be great. Everybody will come. Probably not. So, but no, in the Bay Area would be cool. You could release it down there. You could,
yeah, Santa Clara.
Serious. There's like 4 million people just living in Santa Clara, which is insane because it shouldn't have that many people in it. So, all right. Next one up. This is another one that I'm torn on this one. Lethal Weapon. One of my favorite movie franchises of all time. I love all 4 of them, even 3, which is kind of rough. I'm also even now watching the show, which is kind of rough, but I really like the guy who plays Riggs. They're talking about a Lethal Weapon 5.
Okay, so follow me here. So Rocky 5.
The worst.
Leprechaun 5.
Didn't even make it to 5.
Friday the 13th, Part 5.
I didn't know. Yeah.
5 is more than enough.
Yeah.
So
like you could argue that trilogies are probably where it needs to stop.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I mean, you just don't. Just don't leave a good thing alone. Don't sully the legacy.
See, I think the reason they came back for 4 was because of how bad 3 was.
Right, kind of a redemption thing.
Yeah, and they're like, wow, 3 really crapped the bed. All right, we'll come back and then we'll do 4, and we'll add Chris Rock and Jet Li. And America had never seen Jet Li, and it was like, holy crap, this is amazing. And I really liked 4. It was like a little more cartoony than the other ones, but still really fun. And then, like at 5 though, like unless you did something that like Logan did. Where it's an older, it's a grittier, and unless this is the story, I think you have to do this. If you do this, it has to be the story of these men dying, which I know is a huge bummer. But come on, if Murtaugh was too old for this shit back then,
exactly.
He's got. I mean, it's now 20 years later. He's got to be way too old. Yeah, I don't know.
Is the case revolving about Riggs' retirement? I mean, you know, is it based on his retirement?
Like his 10-year anniversary of retirement?
I don't know.
They were in their 50s in the 4th one.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't understand how they would even how this would even come up. Like how you would begin a story.
I have no idea. This seems baffling to me. I don't know how you do this. But apparently the guy who wrote it is the guy who wrote number 4. He says he's got a beat on a new one. Mel Gibson is now slowly being allowed back into Hollywood. I'm sure you saw the preview for Big Daddy 2.
Oh, yeah.
Which, I gotta say, looks kind of funny.
I'm in.
And I actually reported on this show back when there was a rumor that it was going to be Lithgow and Gibson.
Yeah.
And I was like, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I saw the preview for that today as well, and it's hilarious.
It does look really funny.
It looks really funny, and you know, having Will Ferrell in there doesn't hurt either.
No. And you know who else looks really funny in that? John Cena.
Yeah.
Who's so funny and stuff lately.
Yeah. It's great.
It's not fair.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have the body of a Greek god and be funny like that. That's not fair.
Yeah, that's
so. Yeah, I don't know. So I think we're both kind of in agreement though on Lethal Weapon 5. Bad idea.
Bad idea.
Question was good idea. Bad. I think it's going to be a bad idea.
Agreed.
Number 3, Justice League. The Justice League now comes out we are 3 weeks away from Justice League. We get Thor Ragnarok, then we get Murder on the Orient Express. There's also some other movies coming out in there too. And then the week after that, we get Justice League. Those are going to be the 3 huge movies over the next 3 weeks. It's 3 weeks away, and they're already starting to make predictions about how much money it's going to make. 120 million is the current figure. I'm going to give you an over-under. What do you want to do?
I'm going to go over.
Really?
I'm going to go over. It's just simple reason, more audience. Kids, grown-ups, teenagers, all that.
I think it comes out
volume of viewers.
I think this comes out the weekend before Thanksgiving.
Right.
So for a lot of kids, college kids, a lot of elementary school kids, they get the whole week off. So for a lot of those kids, they're going to be they're already going to be with family. They're already going to be hanging out, and so they're already going to be in the swing of celebrating. I think that's going to be a big deal. I know in the past, the Friday after Thanksgiving was a big movie holiday. I think the studios are figuring out now it's the Friday before Thanksgiving, and that's where they're putting all their chips. Because there's nothing huge coming out after that.
No.
But yeah, I'm also going to go over. And not just because from what I've read, 120 is their low ball end. Because I'm thinking this is probably going to be around 160. That's going to be my guess. All right, next one up. In the wake of the success of Will and Grace coming back to television, and it is a success. It's already doing huge numbers, and they're talking about renewing it for another season already. So that's season 9 will become season 10. Other sitcom stars are now wondering, could my show come back to television? It's been a long time, but people might be interested. So that instead of getting these reunion specials like we used to get with the Brady Bunch and shows like that, just bring the whole show back. I mean, if the people on the show aren't busy, give it a try. The show that's thinking about doing it, and this is definitely a possibility because like Will and Grace, it has a small cast. Mad About You, Paul Reiser and Helen Hunt. And here's another thing, Paul Reiser not super busy, and Helen Hunt has she took a long break from acting to raise her kids, and now she's kind of easing back into it, and she's doing really good work. She did a movie a couple years ago where she played a sex therapist. I was a little too young to watch Mad About You on the first run through, but I've seen it in reruns, and I do like it.
It was a good show back then. I was old enough to see it, and I did watch it fairly regularly back then.
Yeah.
The concern that I have about bringing it back to the present day is they're an older couple now.
Yeah.
That show, they were a loving couple, but they bickered a lot. They did. So now you're bringing back the show. It's about basically a bickering married couple 20 years later.
Yeah. It's also, personally, I don't think it was as big of a hit as Will and Grace was either.
It was pretty big, but it wasn't like huge. It was part of the Must See Thursday thing.
Yeah.
So it was big enough, but
Will and Grace though has that built in because they were part of a big part of the initial push for the LGBTQ audience. Coming back now, when that audience and that community only becomes a bigger and bigger part of our culture every day, makes more sense. Whereas, I mean, this is part of the old Jewish married couples community,
right? I mean,
which is not as much a bigger part of our community every day.
It's not. I mean, honestly, if I wanted to see a middle-aged or older married couple, I'd go back and watch, All in the Family reruns or something like that.
There you go. Yeah.
Which are funnier than Mad About You was, which is a very funny show.
Yeah.
Not taking anything away from it. All that said, I don't think this is the best idea. I really don't.
Not a great idea. All right, last one up, and we'll make this one quick because this is really easy. Ace Ventura is talking about coming back and doing a remake, but without Jim Carrey. Good idea?
No,
don't do that. All right, and nobody had to talk out of their butts to get that done. All right, thanks so much for watching the show. That's it for this week. If you have a question or issue with the show, send us an email. It's bigbms@zoho.com. You can also check out more of me. I've got a podcast. It's called Die Hard on a Blank, where I talk about all the Die Hard movies that aren't Die Hard movies. You're going to have to check out the show to figure that out. Jason, anything you want to plug?
Yes. This Sunday at the Maltese, 1600 Park Avenue here in Chico, is the Hank Dukes Good Time Variety Hour, Hankenstein's Monster Edition. Doors at 7:30, shows at 8, and word on the street is there will be hot dogs there by Gnarly Deli.
Oh, Gnarly Deli makes amazing hot dogs. So the umami dog is really good.
The umami, the spiced brat is my favorite.
Brat.
Beer cheese, baby.
That's the beer cheese one with the pretzel.
Oh, yeah. Baby.
I had that. Holy crap, that's good. My gosh. All right, well, join us next week. We're going to be back here. We're going to be talking about Thor Ragnarok, and we're going to be talking about it with an honest-to-goodness movie critic and reviewer. Forrest Hartman of local Action News Now fame is going to be here in studio talking about Thor Ragnarok with us. So thanks so much for watching, everybody. Good night. Happy Halloween.
Happy Halloween.
Thank you. Did you say hold on or well done?